Ever wonder why our minds chase status or obsess over luxury? This is Mind Matters. I'm Ivana, shining a light on the psychology behind our everyday pursuits, from money stress to social standing. I explore how we think so we can reshape our world from the inside out, because in the end, every mind matters. Hello, and welcome back to Mind Matters. I'm Ivana, coming at you from beautiful Luxembourg. If you've ever wondered why humans care so much about fancy cars, brand name bags, or the latest must-have gadget, you're in the right place. Today, I'm looking at status symbols, what they are, why they exist, and how they're evolving in our modern world. It will be a mix of anthropology, psychology, and even a bit of neuroscience. I'll take you from history of status symbols to how they play out here in Europe in 2025, and offer a few tips on how to handle the pressure that comes with chasing or ignoring these markers of social standing. And hopefully by the end of this episode, you'll see status symbols in a whole new light. Let's journey back in time to our hunter-gatherer ancestors. According to Jared Diamond, being skilled at hunting or tool-making could elevate your social standing. And that wasn't just for show. If you were the best hunter, you had a higher chance of survival and forming alliances. In agricultural societies, owning land and resources became the ultimate symbol of status. This ties into what anthropologists refer to as costly signaling theory. In essence, people and even animals showcase something that's hard to get, like extravagant feathers or elaborate jewelry, to prove that they have the resources to spare. Thorstein Veblen famously coined conspicuous consumption, which is basically, look at me, I have enough wealth to buy all these luxurious things. One fun example, the peacock's tail. It's so large and flashy that it actually slows the bird down, yet it advertises its genes as top-notch. In modern times, we might not have giant, colorful tails, but driving an expensive sports car or wearing a coveted designer brand can function in a similar way. So how does all this show up in our biology? Robert Sapolsky explains that the higher up you are in a social hierarchy, the less stress you typically endure. And conversely, lower status individuals tend to experience chronic stress, elevated cortisol, and a host of health issues. Essentially, our bodies react to where we stand in the pecking order. Another big factor? Dopamine, the reward chemical that makes us feel good when we do something beneficial. Gaining status can trigger dopamine release, reinforcing those behaviors that elevate or maintain our social standing. Ever notice how getting a promotion or buying something new and statusy can give you a rush? It's partially your biology telling you, yes, keep doing this. Your status is rising. Let's move from biology to group psychology. Henry Tajfel talks about social identity theory, which states that our self-esteem is often tied to the groups we belong to. Status symbols help mark who's in and who's out. For example, wearing a particular luxury watch or carrying a Birkin handbag can silently communicate, I belong to this elite group, or I share this lifestyle. But it's not just material goods. Pierre Bourdieu introduced the concept of cultural capital, where having knowledge about fine wines, classical music, or high art can also serve as a status marker. Think about it. Some circles care more about the label on your wine bottle than the label on your clothes, but essentially it is the same thing. And here in Luxembourg, I see this play out in many ways. Some people are all about refined tastes, like knowing every detail about certain champagne vintages, while others favor high-end cars or exclusive gym memberships as their status symbol. Whichever way you slice it, what we choose to display says a lot about our social identity. Why do we want status so badly in the first place? Let's look at Maslow's hierarchy. After our basic needs, food, shelter, safety, we naturally seek esteem. That's where status symbols come in. They're an easy way, though maybe not always the healthiest way, to gain esteem from others. also considers self-determination theory by Deci and Ryan. Humans crave autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Owning or showing a symbol of status can make us feel more competent and help us connect with certain social circles. But here's the twist. While these symbols can give us a burst of satisfaction or recognition, the effect often fades. And that's the idea behind the hedonic treadmill I mentioned in the previous episode. We adapt to that new watch or fancy phone pretty quickly, and soon enough, we need another fix to keep feeling special. It can become a never-ending cycle if we're not careful. Now, let's talk about how status symbols vary around the world and how they look today in 2025. According to Jared Diamond, a man's wealth might be judged by the number of pigs he owns in Papua New Guinea. Over here in Western societies, it might be the kind of house you have or where your degree comes from. There's no universal rule. Status symbols adapt to cultural norms and values. Gerrit Hofstede pointed out that in cultures with a high power distance, like India or China, status symbols might be super visible and hierarchical, while in places like Scandinavia, they're often more understated. Interestingly, we see a big shift in Europe right now toward quiet luxury. Brands like Loro Piana and Brunello Cucinelli focus on quality materials and subtle elegance rather than flashy logos. This has become really popular in cities like Paris and Milan, and it's definitely making its way here to Luxembourg. At the same time, we have a growing trend of affordable affluence, where people want to enjoy life's luxuries, maybe premium groceries, or well-designed everyday items without feeling like they're breaking the bank. This lets them tap into a higher social tier without having to own a yacht or a mansion. With all this talk of displaying status, it's no surprise that anxiety can creep in. Alain de Botton famously wrote about status anxiety, the fear that we're not measuring up to our peers. In modern meritocratic societies, there's this pressure to show you've earned your place at the top. When you don't, it feels personal, like a failure. And remember that hedonic treadmill effect? We get used to our new status fairly quickly. If we're constantly looking for external symbols to validate us, we'll never feel fully satisfied. That's why so many people, despite achieving what looks like success from the outside, still feel restless or unfulfilled. A fascinating development in the 2020s and beyond is how people are finding non-material ways to showcase their status. Wellness retreats, exclusive fitness programs, or having the right kind of mindful meditation practice can all be new age markers. If you sign up for a pricey yoga workshop in Bali, that can say as much about your social standing as wearing a luxury watch, just in a different circle. We also see younger generations, particularly Gen Z, placing value on experiences over possessions. Owning vintage handbags might be in, but it's also about being the person who knows the coolest hiking spots or the most unique travel destinations. The status symbol becomes I'm adventurous, cultured, and authentic. Living in Luxembourg, I've noticed a real mix of these trends. On one hand, you do still see high-end vehicles cruising around, and there are plenty of designer boutiques. On the other hand, I'm meeting more people who value subtler forms of prestige. It could be an exclusive membership to an eco-friendly community garden, or maybe they're part of a private gourmet cooking club. It's like the city is balancing old-school luxury with this new wave of personal, experience-based status markers. A friend of mine here says her biggest status symbol is having enough free time to spend with family. She schedules digital detox weekends and brags about it, almost as if to say, I'm wealthy in time, not just money. It's an interesting shift in mindset that I think we'll see more of across Europe and the world. So, how do we deal with the stress or pressure of status? One approach is to recognize that you can't keep up with everyone, and maybe you don't want to. Ask yourself, is this something I actually want, or am I just trying to prove something? Another strategy might be mindful spending. If you do decide to splurge on a high-end item, let it be something that truly resonates with you and adds long-term value to your life. That way, it becomes less about impressing others and more about bringing joy or convenience to you. And if you're feeling that pinch of status anxiety, remember, you're not alone. Virtually everyone at some point worries about how they stack up. But there's no single scoreboard for life. I like to remind myself that no matter how fancy the watch, time still passes the same for everyone. Consumer psychologists like Belk mention that possessions can extend our sense of self. That's why some of us become so attached to particular brands or items. We are also hearing more about post-luxury, where craftsmanship, sustainability, and authenticity matter more than ostentation. It's not about screaming, "I'm rich," but quietly saying, "I appreciate quality, and I'm mindful of the world around me." As technology continues to evolve, we might see status symbols pop up in the metaverse or via digital assets. I can imagine exclusive online communities or NFT collectibles that grant VIP access to virtual clubs. It's a brave new world, and our definitions of status will likely keep changing right along with it. So there you have it, a 360-degree view of status symbols, from our evolutionary roots to the latest trends in 2025 Europe. Whether it's the quiet luxury of a handcrafted wool sweater or the bragging rights of a top-tier fitness retreat, status symbols reflect our innate desire for recognition, belonging, and identity. Thank you for tuning into Mind Matters with me. My name is Ivana, and I am the host and writer of this podcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay mindful, and remember, who you are matters more than what you own. Take care, everyone, and see you next time on Mind Matters. I will link all the studies and references in the show's description. If you found this discussion insightful, please consider sharing it with friends, family, or colleagues. Let's keep the conversation going about how we can make this affluent corner of Europe a healthier, more equitable place for everyone. Until next time, remember, your mind matters, and taking care of it is the best investment you'll ever make.